What's up, guys? Ben here, Tactical Nutrition, where we are breaking away from the limiting belief systems in the health industry, cutting through the bull crap, and figuring out how we can actually be the strongest version of ourselves. And so, as you can see, I am not the strongest version of myself currently because I am in bad need of a shave, but that's how she goes. When you're busy running around, got to get new razor blades. Anyway, so what I want to talk about is overtraining. And so one of the limiting belief systems that we're told is this, I don't want to say a myth of overtraining because it definitely exists, but there's different types of overtraining. And what I'm going to challenge you to is to say that you're probably not actually overtraining. You're malnourished. You're undernourished. And the symptoms of both of these are very similar, which is how I made the connection years ago. And I'm sure many experts would agree with me on this, that the symptoms of so-called overtraining and undernourishment coincide pretty strongly with each other. So this is what I mean by the myth of overtraining, all right? Most people that say they may be overtraining, they end up with tendonitis in the elbows, maybe back pain, neck pain, knee aches, sciatica, stuff like that. Most of what people call overtraining is improper programming in the gym, meaning that, like I've talked about in other videos, people are doing way too many isolated movements, such as bicep curls, tricep extensions, shoulder raises, whatever, things like that target one muscle group and one joint only. They're doing them with far too much frequency, and usually with not heavy enough weight, and just going super, super high reps. So here's a little nugget that you can use in your training. The perfect rep scheme for any kind of exercise, and I mean, let's say like today I'm going to do squats or bench press or deadlift or whatever, is somewhere between 24 and 36 reps, effective working reps. Okay, now what do I mean by that? If you look at a lot of the normal types of sets that people do, 3 times 10, 3 sets of 10, that's 30 reps, that's in the range. 3 sets of 12, 36, that's in the range, right at the end of the range. 4 sets of 8, 32. 5 sets of 5, 25. See how all these already fall into the 24 to 36 rep range. Now, this is obviously not to say that you can't go higher. If you're doing something like push-ups, body weight exercises, lunges, etc., it's not a steadfast rule. It's more of a compound movement training strategy. Anyway, what happens is people are doing, let's say, I'll use bicep curls as an example, okay? If you have no weight in your hands and you just keep doing this over and over, squeezing your bicep as you go, and you do it hundreds of times, your joint's going to start to break down. You're going to end up with tendonitis because that's not what your body's meant to do. It's an awkward movement. It's unnatural. The curl itself is not necessarily unnatural. The amount of movement over and over and over and over. Nobody throughout the day, with very limited exceptions in terms of a job or life, is doing that movement. Or this, over and over with tricep extensions, right? So you end up with this overtraining, which is acute joint pain. And the cure for that is obviously get an actual program, learn how to lift weights properly, stop doing what most people are doing, and start to get results and less pain. Okay, this is coming from someone that's been able to lift weights every single day, essentially pretty heavy, but knowing what I'm doing, I don't end up with tendonitis and all these stupid little injuries. Now, the type of overtraining that's real overtraining is what's called nervous system fatigue. This is when, if you do lift really heavy, let's say you're a power lifter and you're like doing deadlifts, a lot of times you're doing them multiple times a week, different variations, maybe even doing them consecutive days in a row, right? And you go really heavy and you're making progress at first, but what happens is eventually you stagnate, and then your progress may actually reverse, even if you're eating properly, even if you're doing all the things you feel like you need to be doing. This is a nervous system fatigue. That's actual overtraining. That's when you need to rest. You need to let your nervous system recover A lot of pro bodybuilding coaches and trainers will talk about this. Metzner was a great example. But at the same, or if you're someone that's also like, let's say you're a marathon runner and you run like incredible distances every single day without a plan, yes, you're going to break down. Again, like very long time-wise exercises and things like running and things like that done over and over and over and over again, you will get overtraining. But let's talk about the symptoms of actual overtraining, not the tendonitis from doing too many bicep curls. Crap. You're going to be fatigued. You're going to have a loss of strength. You may have trouble sleeping. You may have trouble focusing. And your muscle begins to break down, which is the real sign. One of the real signs of overtraining is that your strength starts to drop even though you're doing things correctly. Your strength drops. You may even lose muscle mass. If you're someone that's trying to gain muscle, you may notice you're actually getting smaller in the process. These are the signs of overtraining, right? These are also the signs of undernourishment. If you don't eat enough protein, if you don't eat enough calories, if you don't eat enough carbohydrates to fuel your workouts and to fuel your body, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to work out, break down the muscle tissue. It's not going to be able to repair itself because you don't have the proper nutrition. So you're going to get smaller. You're going to get weaker. You're going to be more tired. Your body just doesn't have the energy. You might have reduced mental function. You may find yourself having to sleep more and more and more and still not having energy. This is what happens also when you're in malnourishment. When you're deficient in vitamins and minerals too. And I'm going to talk about a few key ones here, such as magnesium, not just things like protein, carbs, and fats, but magnesium, cholesterol, selenium, antioxidants, not really antioxidants, much as electrolytes, that's what I meant to say, which would be like even trace amounts of chlorine. Potassium, sodium, things like this. If you're deficient in these, your performance will suffer and you will mimic what's called, what seems like overtraining. So you should always be looking at nutrition is the point of this rant. If you notice that your training is starting to drop off and you're feeling some of these symptoms, first look at your nutrition. Okay. And you should have a coach. Always you should be consulting mentors, consulting coaches, consulting the internet. You can consult YouTube. There's so many things. You can find, ignorance is no excuse these days. You can find information. So you may want to do food logs. Okay, so here's how to tell if you are malnourished. You start to feel these symptoms. You're in touch with your body. You've got the fatigue. You find yourself sleeping in. You can't get up early in the morning. You're sluggish. You may be drinking a lot of water, but for some reason your strength is going down. Your numbers in the gym are dropping. They shouldn't be. You're not training like an idiot. You're training properly. And so you start to notice this. You should do a food log, first and foremost. If you've never done one, you need to know how much protein you need per day. From there, you can break it down to the meals. If you're a tiny little bit low, it's probably not going to make that big of a difference, but I just had a buddy of mine who I told to do a 3-day food journal. He noticed he was short about 40 grams of protein a day. So he added one meal in, one nice size meal per day, was able to make up for that protein calorie deficit, right? You need to look at the types of foods you're eating, okay? Are you avoiding salt altogether? Are you just drinking lots of water but not adding electrolytes? Are you getting your potassium? Are you not getting any fruits and vegetables? There's a lot of things that are at play here. And I'm not going to go into detail about every single one because it would take forever. But salt especially is something where, like, if you're just drinking water and you're someone that does a lot of cardio, your body is sweating out, obviously, that water, but it's sweating out electrolytes as well. You need to hydrate by getting those salts. One of my favorites that I talk about with people all the time is my Celtic sea salt. I drizzle a little drizzle, like 2 or 3 times a day even. And Celtic sea salt, which is heavy in magnesium. And so my body's getting electrolytes. And don't worry too much about having too much sodium. That's one of these myths I've been talking about. You're not going to get all bloated and blood pressure go up, as long as you're within reason. But so look at your nutrition. If you're eating one time a day and you're busy at work and you don't have time to eat more, you need to find a way to either get the snacks in, or you need to downgrade your workouts for a short term until you find a solution. Because if you are in there, and I know this from someone that likes to deadlift and squat heavy and do really hard workouts that require a lot of food. But if I'm traveling for my weekend job and I don't have time to eat all the time, especially on long drives, I do what I can, but I may not be able to get in. I might miss a meal or two a day for the weekend. And then I'm not going to really be able to go in and do that hard of a workout and expect to recover properly. Now, because we are not in the habit of making excuses, we should figure out how to get the food in, not just how to make our workouts lamer to suit our deficiencies, right? We should always be striving to be the best version of ourselves. But so, I just want you guys to think about that next time you feel like you may be overtraining. And think about the two types of overtraining. One, the stupid kind. Quit doing so many bicep curls and triceps. That's not how you get your biceps bigger or your triceps if you do that over the long term. In fact, you're going to end up with tendonitis. Two, if you lift heavy every single day, or if you do powerlifting or Olympic lifting or plyos or sprints and things like that every single day, you will get nervous system fatigue, and your body does need time. And there are special nutrients that you can use to help your nervous system recover as well. I'll talk about that in future videos. But the number one thing is look at your nutrition plan, get dialed in, know what you need, know the nutrients you need, the protein, the fat, the carbs, where you can get those sources. Be prepared, do the meal prepping, get the coach, invest the time to learn how to do this stuff, and then fill in the gaps and see and watch your performance increase, your energy, all that stuff. So guys, that's all I got for you today. If you want to check out custom programs that I have, www.tacticalnutrition.net. It's a work in progress. Follow me on Instagram, Tactical Nutrition Fit. That's where I do all my coaching. I will see you guys in the next video.